Want help to grow your business? Download BRiN, the world's first business advisor in your pocket. To find out more, visit BRiN.ai or search the App Store today.
Hi, I'm Beaumont and welcome to another episode of Secrets Exposed. This is the show that takes you up close and personal with world-leading business experts. And our topic for this interview is a crash course in reading financial statements. Really important subject, that coming up in just a moment. Expert Amanda Fisher, and she's also an author of 2 books on this subject. And the interview is going to be a crash course in financial statements, something that you definitely need to know as a business owner. We're going to be talking about the 5 most important financial statements in your business, what they are, and to give you, like we said, a crash course in how to understand your numbers as a business owner. Amanda, welcome.
Thank you.
All right, so why does a business owner need to understand their numbers? It sounds pretty obvious, however, we both know lots of entrepreneurs and business owners just completely ignore this subject.
Yeah, it's important because knowing what the numbers are, you can actually do better with your business and understand what's really going on in the business. And yeah, too often we hear people saying it's not their forte, they've got an accountant to do it, they've got all these other reasons.
I'm not a detailed person, I'm a big picture person.
Yeah, but you can big picture look at your numbers. So it's finding a set of numbers that you can understand, that you can then use to make decisions in your business and not just purely on your gut feel of what's happening.
So what are the consequences if you choose to ignore this advice, and if people stop this video right now and go, more numbers, what could be in store for them?
A couple of things. You could actually find you lose the business because you're not focusing on the numbers and seeing what's happening with your cash flow and profits. So you might think you're doing well when in fact you're not. At a lesser level, it means you may not grow the business either to the level you want to or to as quickly as you want to get there, because you're just not going to understand some of the moving parts that are happening in those numbers.
And you might just do a whole bunch of work and have nothing to really show for it. The business might survive, but it never, like you said, lives up to its full potential.
Correct.
Because a lot of business owners say, I'm making all this money, I just don't know where it went.
That's right.
So we're going to talk about why that's the case and where the money actually goes.
Yes.
All right. Now, how much knowledge do you actually need? Do you think that entrepreneurs all need to go to accounting school and get a degree, or is just a basic understanding of numbers enough?
Yeah, certainly not going to, if you want to go to university and get a degree, you're going to become an accountant. The aim of an entrepreneur and a business owner is to understand their numbers, but they don't need to know all the nitty-gritty details of how it works kind of behind the scenes. So it's getting an overview of what the numbers are and getting a basic understanding of what the reports are, how to use them and how to interpret them.
And finally, what would you say to someone that says, that's the job of my accountant to understand all my numbers, I leave that to them? What would you say to that person?
You as a business owner, an entrepreneur, depending on what sort of entity it is, but as a person, you have to take responsibility for what you're doing and what your business is doing. And at that level, you need to understand the basic numbers.
Okay. Now, there are 5 important statements that every business owner needs to understand. So we're going to go through these in a lot more detail throughout the interview. We've even got some live examples we're going to show people as well so they can see what the document looks like and what the sections are. But let's quickly put them all out there on the table. What are the 5 different documents or statements that we need to actually know and understand as business owners?
And not necessarily in order of importance, but profit and loss statement.
So profit and loss?
That's the first one. The second one is a balance sheet or statement of assets and liabilities.
So they're the same thing? Balance sheet?
A balance sheet and a statement of assets and liabilities are the same thing.
The same thing, just different names?
Different names.
So that's number 2.
2. Third one is a budget.
Mm-hmm.
Fourth one is a cash flow.
Yes.
And the fifth...
Is that a cash flow forecast? Is that one?
Yeah, the forecast. So the budgets are looking into the future. They're projections, but your cash flow is a forecast. Both of those are looking to the future. whereas the balance sheet and profit and loss are both looking at the past, so historical. And then the fifth one is really two reports. It's the aged receivables and the aged payables. So how much money is owing into your business at a point in time and how much money is owing out.
All right, now for people saying there's 5 documents there, can't we just simplify and just have one?
No. It would be nice to have one, but realistically, no, there are 5. You can, however, get your accountant or bookkeeper to summarise the key numbers and put them in a one-page report, and I've certainly seen that happen, but you need the detail to back it up.
And later on, we'll talk a bit about how you can use technology to do a lot of this as well with things called dashboards.
Yes.
So what are these dashboard things that we keep hearing about?
Well, they're not what's in your car, although they're designed along their lines. In a car, you've got a dashboard that tells you how fast you're going, how much petrol you've got, what gear you're in, those sorts of things. These dashboards are the same, and they're telling you about the key things that are happening within your business, and they're tailorable. Some of them are real time, which I think is really super awesome because you can see exactly what's happening at the time, and they're visual. So they're not this long page of numbers. They're nice, pretty graphs and pie charts, and they're colourful. And so from a usability perspective, they just seem so much easier to understand than a page of numbers that just is too hard for so many people.
Now, before we talk about these 5 documents, one more kind of term I want to introduce people to. We've heard a lot about it in the past couple of years. This whole idea of cloud accounting.
Yes.
What is the mysterious cloud up in the sky, and how has it changed your profession and what we need to do as business owners?
Completely revolutionised the accounting profession, but also accounting for business owners. And where I see the benefit is that the cloud systems, they're just on the internet. It's another word for saying it's on the internet. And what they do is they've automated a lot of the processes. So rather than manually entering every single transaction, which the bookkeeper does, and the entrepreneur doesn't need to know how to necessarily, but somebody is manually typing in the date, the who it's to, the amount, the taxes, the whole thing, and then manually ticking it off to reconcile a bank account. Now a lot of that is, it's the data information is brought in from the banks, it's fed into the system, and basically with one click of a button you can have effectively entered and reconcile the transaction. So we're seeing time savings of 50 to 75% on the data entry by using the cloud systems.
And would you be recommending that business owners all move across to doing business in the cloud?
Absolutely. Now, different businesses, some are easier for it to move across. Some of the businesses that are a bit larger, that maybe have a few more moving parts, as I call it, need to think very carefully about what system they use. Everybody does, but for a lot of businesses, it's just so easy to do it, and it works really, really simply, and massive saving of time.
And even though we have now moved across, or many businesses have, to cloud-based accounting, the principles that we're going to talk about and the documents that you need, they haven't changed, right? No. They're still the same. And why is that? Why are these things still the way that they are?
Because nobody's decided to come up with a better way of doing them. Interesting question. Yeah, it's been always that way. Good question. Someone should
Is there another way, or is there's not?
No, I think the benefit of them being on the cloud is you can now tap into these dashboards and get a lot more graphical reports that we just couldn't get out of the old type of accounting system. So the basic financial reports, yes, those 5. No difference, nothing's changed, but you can get some more information out that's easier to understand.
Okay, we're going to take a short break. When we get back, we're going to dive right into the first 2 of the 5 documents that you need to know and understand as part of our crash course in how to read financial statements. And I'm going to be asking lots and lots of questions on your behalf. And so stay watching, and I'm sure your questions will be answered real soon. Welcome back to this interview with Amanda Fisher. This is a crash course in how to read financial statements. So we're going to go through 5 really important documents that you need to know and understand as business owners. We're going to talk about what they are and basically how to read these statements. So let's get into the first one, number 1, and it is
A profit and loss statement.
The profit and loss statement. All right, so what is a profit and loss statement?
So a profit and loss statement is a historical report of your revenue and income, less all the expenses, so your cost of goods, your cost of sales, and all the overhead expenses to determine your profit for a particular period of time.
And that could be a week, a month, a year?
Correct. Yes, usually a month, not usually a week. A week for most businesses, there's too many things that may not be in it, so it's not very meaningful. So usually a profit and loss is monthly, quarterly, or annually.
Okay, so we're going to show a few pictures, and some of them will go full screen as well,
Right.
so people can see them when they're watching. So what does it actually look like? What are the actual different... Let's talk about the headings first and the components.
Yes.
So what's at the top?
What's at the top, it will be a trading statement, so it'll be the income or sales, less the cost of goods to determine the gross profit, so that's the trading statement. And then below that,
So
we
the
have...
trading statement is all of your revenue? Is that what the trading statement is?
It's all your main sales revenue, correct.
Okay.
Yep.
And if you're selling 5 different products, do all 5 of them get lumped in there together, or do you have a different line for every single product?
In a profit and loss statement, you'll have them in one line, but you might want to delve into it more deeply and be able to report 5 different versions on each different product line. But a profit and loss statement itself will have them in one place,
Okay, so later on you
Yep.
can drill down, but it's all
Correct.
of your revenue,
all lumped together.
all lumped together. So there's a couple of other things I see as well. You've got fees and claims, and also the reports as well to get your total income. Is that all income there?
Yes, yes. So most cases, the income that relates to your main business is all part of the revenue. In some cases, which I haven't actually got, I have got in here, is we will put other revenue separately. So we'll actually call things like interest income, investment income, things that aren't related to actually running the business as such, we'll separate out into a separate other revenue line.
Okay,
So it's really the income in your trading statement is the selling of whatever it is you do, whether it's a product or a service or
could
combination.
you be interest that you're getting from money in the bank, or?
That's usually other revenue in a business context.
Yep.
If your business was lending money, then yes, that would be in the trading statement as the revenue.
Okay, so that creates all of our total income, and we can see that at the top. So here I can see there's $1.3 million approximately
Yep.
of total income.
Yep.
But that's not the profit we're
Nope.
actually making.
No,
It would be nice if it was.
it would be if you didn't have to pay everything else.
Okay, now
Yes.
underneath that I can see this thing called less cost of sales. Cost of sales or cost of goods. What does that term actually mean? Because
So-
are these your expenses or are they not?
They are expenses, but they are the expenses that are directly related to selling whatever it is you sell. So if you're selling a product, the cost of goods will be the actual cost of what you paid for that product, plus its freight to get it to you, and any packaging costs you might add to it or anything else you might do to it before you sell it.
So if this water cost us $1,
Yes.
and we were selling a million units, we'd
Yes.
have $1 million there
Of cost of goods,
of
yes.
cost
yes.
of goods.
Yes.
And so if we were selling them for $1,
Yes.
then that
That's
would
revenue.
be our revenue.
Yes.
And if it cost us, say, 30 cents for that,
Yes.
then the 30 cents, $300,000 effectively, would then be the cost of sales or cost
Correct.
of goods.
Correct.
So they're really the same thing, are they? We just call them different if you're a products-based business or a service-based business. But essentially, we're talking about the direct expense
Correct.
to make that particular product. Is that right?
To make the product if you're selling a product.
And what about if you're a service? Because
Yes.
it's so many variations. How do you
Yes.
really... How do you calculate in a service-based business what was the actual cost of goods or cost of sales?
Most accountants don't do this, and most profit and losses are not set up to record it, I believe, correctly. If you're in a service business where you're selling hours, so basically you're selling a service where you're charging by the hour, or you may be value charged, but it's a time-based personal delivery. I believe that the cost of sales, your cost of goods in a service business...
To continue enjoying this presentation, download BRiN, the world's first business advisor in your pocket. To find out more, visit BRiN.ai or search the App Store today.